Hello, good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and those who identify as otherwise, and welcome to the second round of the SSRI Season 6 GT3 Tier 2 Championship. Tonight is a very special night, as there are two monumentous things that have happened since last time. Number one, we are going for our new sprint racing format for the first time, which means that we'll see the live action on track tonight as a qualifying session followed by two races. The first race with the grid set by qualifying, second race the grid set by reverse, finishing off the first race. And the second monumentous thing that's happened since last time, I'm actually joined in the commentary booth by Mr. Andy Potter.
Hi, I love how my name has been changed to Andy Potter instead of Andy King. I do love the banter. Yeah, hi everybody. It's obviously my first time commentating, but it's a pleasure to be here. Looking forward to some of the action that's going to take place today over at the Red Bull Ring. It's a tough track. It's what 1 minute 28, 1 minute 30 lap time, but it's a tough track to master, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of action for all of our viewers this evening.
There surely will be, Andy. This is a track famously known for being super tight in races. Not that much will separate the drivers time-wise over the course of a lap around here, as it is a pretty short track and most of the track consists of very long straights. I think it's about 9 official corner names around this circuit, as I'm dead sure that Chris Hill will bring us up with a track guide in just a few seconds, so we can have a little bit of a look around this mighty track, the Red Bull Ring, as we are on the flying lap now, or, well, track guide. Start finish straight, fairly flat when it starts, but quickly into an uphill section going into turn 1, the Niki Lauda curve. Difficult to master as you have the big stone on the inside and then the sleeping policeman on the outside. Don't try and abuse those, as they will upset the car. The long straight down through turn 2 into turn 3, the tight right hander of Remus. You can take a lot of the exit curb here. You can even get 2 wheels on the curb, but be aware that there's basically only one line through, and that's the apex. It is a corner where you can expect to see many overtakes this evening of racing. Onto yet another straight, heading into corner 3, corner 4, which I'm not about to try and butcher the pronunciation of. Downhill corner, bit tricky as it opens quite a bit on the outside, or you open the steering wheel as you go through the corner. Tight on the entry and not as tight on the exit. Onto Rauch. Corner 6, very tricky to get right. You want to carry as much speed as on the car as you possibly can, but going downhill while trying to do that, will they get the rear end settled or loose at least? Through Woods corner or curve into turn 8. Difficult section as well. We saw some overtaking attempts being made through there last week, not all of them equally successful before we head into Rent, the penultimate corner of the track, turn 9. With the tricky pit lane entry, but we are likely not going to see that in action tonight. And then turn 10, of course, difficult with the slight drop on the inside that really helps rotate the car, but if you don't get it just right, you will go wide through turn 10 and pick up a track cut warning. Just kind reminder to the people out there, 3 track cuts, and then the 4th one will be a drive-through penalty, though very unlikely anyone will pick up that many in such a short race as we have tonight. Oh, well, 2 short races basically, and they will get reset between the races.
It's a tough corner, that last one, isn't it? Because it can make or break a lap. You go in a bit too fast, you catch a little bit too much curb, and all of a sudden you've unbalanced the car, you've ran wide, and all of a sudden your lap is invalidated. But not only that, it also has a massive impact on your run down towards turn 1. So you really need to get that corner correct, because actually not only will it impact the lap that you're on, but it could impact the lap that you're about to go onto, and that's going to be a real challenge for some of the drivers tonight, is making sure they get that exit, if any, on this track correct. It needs to be that last one, but as you've just mentioned, that sausage curb on the inside is pretty lethal at the best of times.
Yes, it can be very tricky, especially with the slight drop on the inside. If you get it, if you come in with too much speed or mount the curb on the inside too hard, then the car can actually get quite a bit upset when you try to exit that corner. Not something that you would like in a race, and I think that we will see some drivers maybe going slightly slower through there in the actual race than the optimum speed, to try and avoid getting that unsettlement in the car. A question on YouTube chat: why the race on Zandvoort last Friday wasn't streamed? That's simply because we didn't have any broadcasters available for that particular race. We are not at that big crew, and basically it's only Chris Hill and Tom Vandermeer who handles all the camera work, and from time to time, believe it or not, they might have plans on a Friday evening. So, and Chris is racing himself, so we could probably just end up seeing onboard pictures from his car throughout the entirety of the race, and who would want that? Well, except for everyone out there who wants to see Chris crash in every corner, but hey ho!
I don't think I've ever seen Chris in a race. I'm looking forward to that. I think I might have to come and I'd say watch, but yeah, come and see what happens. Maybe Chris is like an undefeated SRO esports driver, and nobody really knows it because we just don't see him drive. You never see him and George Boothby in the same race together, do you? So who knows?
Yeah, you know what? I've actually been around for so long in this community that I have raced against Chris Hill on several occasions. With mixed success. They might call me a dinosaur at this point, but nothing in comparison to Grandpa Chris Hill, of course. The OG master himself. I believe he used to race with Dynamic Motorsports in the Endurance Championship, and he might still be using that name for the 2.4. Not entirely sure about that. So yeah, classic team name. I wonder if he's driving with Simon Pike. He might actually just whisper that in my ear. Slight whisper. He is driving with Simon Pike, of all people. Mr. Pike himself.
What are you expecting to see lap times today, Oliver? Are you expecting to see anyone break into the 27s?
Ooh, that's
a
hard
big challenge, isn't it? That's a fast lap time.
I don't think we actually might, but it will be a very fast lap time for any of these drivers in Tier 2 if they breach into to the 27s. But we'll have to wait and see. But I do expect qualifying to be settled within at least a 10th for pole. I don't think it will be more than that, considering how few corners are around this track.
Yeah, it's an interesting track, isn't it? Because it's, like I said earlier, it's very short, really. It's very fast. Most of the corners, apart from a couple of fast speed, high downforce corners. But if you get one of the exits wrong, you just lose so much time. So turn 1, for example, that is a full send corner into turn 1. And it's so easy to run wide, it's so easy to get track limits, but it's also so easy to get it wrong. And the moment you get it wrong, you just compromise your entire exit down the straight in towards turn 2, and that's going to be detrimental.
Yeah. It definitely will be. It basically goes as either high-speed corners around this track or really slow. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
There's basically no in between. But it will be interesting to see who performs well. We did see a few clues 2 weeks ago on Spa, which cars were running up there in the top end of the field, with Jesse van Dryle doing a phenomenal race until he obviously got involved with a back marker quite early on. That spun out, and then unfortunately he got collected and taken out of the lead of the race. But it is what it is. That's how racing goes from time to time, and we're actually shortly about to receive live broadcasting feeds from the qualifying here on the Red Bull ring, or if you're as old as me, you would probably call it the A1 ring, or if you're as old as Chris Hill, you would call it the Österreich ring. But it is what it is, as we do have some sort of a live feed from qualifying. As we can see all the cars run out to track, or out to the track in big lines of cars coming out. Everyone trying to get out as early as possible to get as many laps in as possible for qualifying.
There's certainly going to be a queue of drivers lining up ready to take their qualifying run as we go out for the as they finish their out lap. And yeah, there's quite a mixture of cars on the grid as well, isn't there? We've got a Lexus, which is quite rare to see, a couple of Lambos, Ferraris, McLarens. Is that one Mercedes on the grid? I think the Mercedes is quite strong around here, to be fair.
I think Planners is in a Mercedes. We even have an Audi on track as well.
Yeah, the Audi in the Tier 1 race did quite well. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it was on the front row. Be interesting to see if the 333 car can do the same in Tier 2.
We did see him do quite well 2 weeks ago for Haas, of course, but we'll wait and see. And do remember not to say the C word on YouTube, by the way, because apparently that gets you demonetized. It's a word that is very close to one of our drivers. Or it's a word that's very close to one of our driver names who does quite a bit of endurance racing, named Kund. Then you can guess what the C word is yourselves out there.
Yeah, that's specifically why I said the 333 car and the Audi driver.
Yeah, well, you can say Kund, no problem, but don't put emphasis on the first part of that particular word. Anyway, as we have drivers who are going on to their first flying laps in literally just a few seconds, or will some actually already start their first flying laps? Some being in well, some might not be. I do think there's something weird going on with the track map, and even cars that are on flying laps are shown as blue for some reasons, but we'll have to deal with it and see what we can happen. And that's an overtake during qualifying, which is definitely not allowed, but nevertheless, Glenn goes into turn 1, a little bit of an onboard here, gets through not so nicely. We can see the back end stepping out there of the Aston Martin, one of the cars that usually is seen as one of the more stable cars to drive, but of course you can push any car to the extreme. It does look like that Finema will have traffic here on the first flying lap of his. If these drivers are not on flying lap, they will be pulling out of the way, like we saw the 19 Porsche do. Right there, good job of staying out of the way. Hello from Denmark. Hello from Denmark as well. Danish friend, Sigler. Hello, hello.
It's certainly going to be a challenge for some of the drivers, isn't it? If there's going to probably be quite a big pace gap, I imagine, between the front runners and those that are going to qualify towards the rear of the pack, and it's going to be hard to sort of for the drivers out there to gauge how much time and space they actually need for their lap. So until you sort of get a feel for the track conditions, I mean, it's 25 ambient, 32 track at the minute, so it's relatively hot. So I'd expect the lap times to be a little bit slower, but they need to sort of gauge how fast the driver is in front and whether they're going to catch them on on their qualifying lap. Because if you catch somebody, you shouldn't really be overtaking them, because you're going to impact their lap. So
definitely, as we have seen at least 2 weeks ago with the very large time differences on the top of Tier 2 and the bottom. It's quite a bit larger than Tier 1, which is, well, not that surprising, to be honest. But the thing is, once you get into the flow of a season, then you'll try and either get out as early as possible qualifying, and then if you're not first out on the track, then you'll try and be behind a driver that you know the pace of to maximize your own time on track, basically. But we did see that Finnerman going wide on the final corner, as Jesse van Dryle already put in a time that matches what have been done in the practice just before this race of 1:28.4. Chris Haas right behind him in the Audi, doing quite a good job. Yeah, and Phil Baracci and De Gore coming in. Phil Baracci we saw a lot of in round 1, putting it on provisional pole so far. They're getting very close to breaking the 1:27, so they're getting closer at least to breaking it. Not that surprising, but well, a little bit surprising to me, but a good lap there from Phil Baracci. Let's see what he can do for the rest of the qualifying, and whether or not that he are able to maintain that provisional pole position, as we see a big line of cars here coming down the start-finish line. Vladimir up by about half a second, up to P3 there for the Porsche driver. let's see if we can get another, for the second week in a row, a what will that be? That'll be a silver class driver on pole position. Still no, oh no, that's not silver class. That'll be an amateur class on pole position. The color scheme confuses me here for those out there who are new to the second tier or who didn't watch last season. The cars with the white boxes and black numbers are the silver class. The silver boxes with white numbers are the amateur class, and the red boxes with black numbers are the rookie class. Just to confuse the hell out of everyone watching out there.
You can see just how tight it is as well at the moment. So between P1 and P10 is less than a second. And we're only 1 or 2 laps into this at the minute, so give it a few laps. In fact, P1 and P2 have just matched each other's lap times. That goes to show how tight it really is at the top of the timing screen.
And swearing will likely improve his lap by about 0.4 this time around. Looks like it on this sheet, though drops a bit there in the final corner. But let's see as he crosses the line up to 6th position there from Bart Swearing in his Ferrari, best placed Ferrari at this point. I personally haven't driven the Ferrari that much, Andy, but I know that you have. Can you tell us a little bit about, do you expect the Ferrari to be strong around a track like the Red Bull Ring?
Yeah, the Ferrari's an interesting one around here. It's one of the cars that I enjoy driving at the moment, despite some of the criticisms from my team, if any of them are watching. It's got high top speed. I think the downside of it is it can be a little bit boggy out of a corner. So if you get one of the corners a little bit wrong, you're going to lose time, especially with the Ferrari typically running a slightly higher traction control than, say, the McLaren might do, for argument's sake. However, it is quite stable. It brakes well. It turns in well. It's very responsive. And I think if you get a Ferrari in your slipstream, you're probably going to get overtaken into a braking zone. Whereas I think if you're in a McLaren, we know that the McLaren has slightly worse brakes than other cars. So it'd be interesting to see how that balance sort of plays out throughout this race. I also know that the Porsche is quite strong around here. Very tough car to drive, the Porsche, admittedly. But yeah, the Ferrari's a favourite of mine for sure.
Speaking of teams and watchings, this is Kieran Morfield we're watching here, the Snag & Sons driver, who got a point on the top secret Snag & Sons murder chart last week. As I believe they have a sheet where they note in every time a driver from that team murders another driver on track, and Kieran Morfield definitely did that on Spa. Unfortunate for him, and that got caught on the stream. Big no-no from the Snag & Sons driver. Go to Nick Kleefeld, not to be confused with Nick Heidfeld, of course. I'm just trying to see on the list whether or not that he's improving or not. He is not, but somewhat close to he could be coming out of the lap. Still having the Lexus all the way up in 3rd place at the minute.
You're very happy about that Lexus, aren't you?
Oh, I love the Lexus. I love the Lexus. It's my Lexus brother. Nothing brings more joy to my heart than seeing Alexis perform well. Yeah, Nick going a little bit sideways. Don't think that he'll improve across the line. He goes in still 18 for Mr. Kleefeld there. Hummel coming across the line from a 19th position. Will he improve up to 10th? There, big improvement from Hummel. Well, big improvement. It is small margins in this race, as we can see for pole at least at the minute, and further down as well. We still have the top 19 of this field within a second of each other, which is interestingly close. But then again, it's a very short track, so it is to be expected that the drivers are close to each other. Around with Vladimir, we go again down the. I would say the main straight-ish of the track, not really as straight as it's technically turn 2 that he's going through at the minute. Coming up to turn 3 in just a few seconds, but yeah. Very important to get a good run down there. Super hard on the brakes there into turn 3. Getting just enough rotation can be a little bit tricky. Getting a correct rotation through there. As if you go on the front too early, you might risk spinning up the rear wheels as you go quite steep uphill out of the on the exit of turn 3. But Vladimir doing somewhat reasonable at the minute. Currently P7, not improving in this lap in particular, but very close to personal best at least for Vladimir. As that will surely not help him as he puts a wheel out in the gravel trap there. I do believe that invalidates the lap time around this track.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. It's so easy to go wide there. You want to maximise the track exit, the pit exit. It's not a pit stop. You want to maximise all the track and get the best exit that you can, and you run a centimetre wide, and suddenly you're off the track and you're in the gravel, and all that time that you've gained has just been lost. It's very unfortunate that that's happened, but I'm sure he's going to gather his thoughts and go again in the next lap and see what he can do.
Yes, Martinelli now improving his lap by 0.1 second in the 98 BMW. Of course, the 98 number we see in Tier 1 as well, driven by Nikolaj Schrøder from time to time when he decides to go racing. Across the line he goes, improves up to P25, just behind Denise Pope in 24th position. Few drivers further down the field improving, but Jesse van Dryle up by 0.3, up near the front of the field. Or at least, no, that was unfortunately invalid. He could have been on pole if that would have counted. But he will go once again and try and find just a few tenths on his previous best lap time and see if he can jump up the grid from P5, third row on the grid for him if this stands. But obviously we'll have to wait and see what goes on in this qualifying.
I've just noticed that Haas has decided to go into the pits. I wonder if he's making any adjustments to his fuel load or tyre pressures before he comes out and goes for another run. It's clearly so tight at the top that they're both on exactly the same lap time, and maybe at some point we could get an onboard of one of the front two and we could see what an onboard lap looks like at some point. That would be good. But they're flying at the minute. A 1:28.1 is very fast, especially in these temps.
Yeah. Speaking of going into the pits at this point, this could just be a matter. Van Dryle goes off there, but it could just be a matter of how you choose to run your qualifying. Some people like to fuel the cars for the entirety of qualifying and just stay out there and get lap after lap after lap. And some people like to do 2 sets of tires. Some might even take 3. And that's one of the differences in strategic elements of the qualifying that we are running into. Whether or not that you want to try and just get consistent out there and count on that your consistency at one point or another will bring you a decent enough lap for a good qualifying, or whether or not that you believe that a lot of quick runs will be the trick. On board with Maria Filbaratti, the 95 car current pole sitter.
This is a very tidy lap. This looks very nice. He's braked where he needs to brake. He's got the car turned in. He's coming up towards the second to last corner now, and hopefully he nails this. But he's just been pipped on pole by Wilson.
Yeah, I was just about to say that Lexus seemed to be improving as he dropped into the 27th as the first driver. Though this will not be the lap for Filbaratti, unfortunately, as he goes wide there through the final corner.
That's exactly what we were talking about. That's exactly what we were talking about earlier before qualifying started. It's so easy to lose all of your lap on that corner.
P4, Van der Berg improving at the minute, up by 0.3, 0.4 at the minute. This could be a lap that could potentially challenge for pole position if he keeps up the momentum that he's going on. 0.5 now. Looks very strong. He just needs to get these 2 final corners perfectly together. Ooh, goes wide there. Was that enough to invalidate the lap time? It wasn't. He's still going, but a lot of time lost there. Only up by 0.2 at this point, but he does come across the line to improve. It looks like... No, yes, he improved his time, but not position-wise. Still P4. Not that often that we see that around here when it's so close between the drivers.
And we've seen our first 27 now from Wilson as well. That is a fantastic time, and would put him in contention against some of the Tier 1 drivers. It's that fast. That's a great effort from the number 3 Lexus there. I've not driven the Lexus though. It's quite quick, isn't it? I don't know what your thoughts are on it, Oliver. Beans, as you were quizzing me about the Ferrari, but what's your knowledge you can share on the Lexus?
Amazing car to drive. Definitely one of the most fun cars in the game, as it has a very particular driving style, as we see Dimitri Schenk there just in time for a spin. But it has a very particular driving style you need to get used to. It's super quick in a straight line, but braking wise it's not the best, and cornering wise also not the best. So this might be one of the strongest tracks around the calendar for the Lexus. It did perform well in Spa, of course, as that's also a good track for top speed cars, and we'll go to Indianapolis later on the season as well, where we can see it perform quite nicely. but I would not expect it to be good on Laguna. That will also be visiting later on this season, but it is what it is. It's a fun car to drive, and when you drive the Lexus, you know that you'll only be competitive on some tracks. There will be a few tracks where you're not up there near the front, as we have the second Lexus actually having joined the server now of Mark Spooner, who's way down the order on the more usual Lexus pace, to be honest. Although it could just be me who's complete bullshit in the car, trashing it. That is a valid option, or something that could happen. Following Oscar Arctis around the track, the Argentine driver in the bright pink Mercedes. He was up on his lap time. Will he improve when he crosses the line? He goes across and still 37th, it looks like, for the Argentine there. He will surely be looking to improve his lap time. Not where he would be expecting to finish, but we do see a big gaggle of Mercedes down in the heavy end of the field. None of the Mercedes drivers in Tier 2 seems to be getting this track hooked particularly well, as the best placed Mercedes at the minute are Johan Planas in 33rd position. And yes, that's how you pronounce the name. You have to yell it out, I've been told.
I think a lot of these drivers will make up quite a few positions during the race. I suspect it's going to be tightly packed. We might see some incidents if the Tier 1 race is anything to go by. There's a few bumps and knocks throughout that race, so you might see the same here. So actually, some of those drivers that are further down the field, I'd expect to see them start.
Sorry to interrupt you, but looking on the sheet at the minute, Wilson is up by 0.3 current pole sitter, and Vladimir, we're following around here, also improving on his previous best lap time. But Wilson could cement pole position if he keeps the momentum going that he's running at the minute. Ooh. He is really on a quick lap, up by 0.3 seconds. Coming through the whatever I called it earlier, corner into the penultimate now for Luke Wilson. You can really see that he have been practicing the track quite a bit, as he knows how much of the track that he can use around the corners, using the full width of the track, or the available track within the game's limits. 27.6, ladies and gentlemen.
Very fast.
I think that we have just seen the pole lap of Tier 2, almost a half a second down to P2 at the minute of Vladimir. He goes off track. He could potentially actually still go on track and try one more time, Luke Wilson. But whether or not that he'll do that, or just keep it in the pits for the remaining 1 minute 50 seconds of qualifying, we'll have to wait and see. Cohen Geens, 22nd position, also a little bit out of position for him compared to where he would usually be. Having a little bit of a look here, not improving anything on the scoreboard at the minute, but things could quickly change around this lap for Mr. Cohen Geens, of course. In the nice DDS FedEx liveried car. Let's wait and see if he can deliver the packages quicker than FedEx does. Into the corners we go. A little bit of traffic ahead of Geens as he understeers slightly wide there. Traffic pulls to the side. The 163, good job from the guy there. He was invalid, the 163 BMW in the background, by the way. We can see that on the track map. Geens invalidate as well, but it is what it is. He'll still have one more attempt of this, as he will cross the line with less than 1 minute 27 to go. So basically everyone starting a lap from this point on, they will be on their final attempt, and quite a few of the drivers who are on flying laps will also be on their final attempts as well. Pascal Vida improving by 0.4, I can see on the sheet, by pure incidents. This could put him up quite a few positions if it keeps going, though he just dropped quite a bit of time, but still a slight improvement for Pascal Vida of the Sim Racing Holland team. Black and orange liveries for these for the Sim Racing Holland drivers normally, and of course on Vida's car as well. He did manage to find a little bit of time there through the final corner and up into 14th position. And he didn't get the flag, but he still chooses to stop the car there. He could potentially have done one more, but now when the cars come across the start-finish line, their qualifying will be over, as we're following the 7th place Jesse van Dryle who did quite a good job last race out 2 weeks ago, but he's still not on pace for pole position on this one. He is improving though. He could magically find time here in the final corner. It won't be enough to take pole, but it could be enough to see him jump up at least a row on the grid if this holds. Let's see where he finishes P5 and no one ahead of him. The only few cars behind that could beat him out would be, yeah, I think Greg Hill and Kleefeld. Greg Hill across the line, 15th for the BMW driver. Kleefeld still on a well lap. He'll be the last driver to set a lap time in this qualifying session in his Lamborghini. I'm just scrolling through the timing boards to see if I can find him and see if he's improving. Not by a lot. It looks pretty close, but no improvements. It looks like he invalidated since the qualifying is now over.
Yeah, I will say that was a very tight qualifying race, wasn't it? The top 5 split by, well, P1 was in a league of their own. Luke Wilson with a phenomenal qualifier, but P2 to P10 all within around about 5/10 of each other, 5 or 6/10, which is very, very tight. It's going to make for a very interesting race, I think, given how tight the grid is going to be. Be interesting to see how the cars are set up, see if any of the drivers with a bit more fuel in the car, see if their pace is still there or whether the car feels different. I know a lot of drivers have a qualifying setup and then a full fueled or a race setup, so we might see some differences in pace, but it's going to certainly make for a lot of action.
It surely will. That's one of the things that we'll have a close look at during the race, or try to figure out in the race from our point of view. But whether or not that Luke Wilson can get away from the rest of the drivers in the start will be quite interesting to see, as that could make or break his race. Question in the YouTube chat: are they supposed to pit this race? No, they are not, because it is a very short sprint race, or very short. That might be a little bit of an overstatement, but it is a sprint racing format this week, and I for some reason can't go into the garage and tell you how long, but I think it's 20 minutes in the first race. And then 40 in the second race, which would be reverse grid. Interesting to see who will be the best of going through traffic there.
It really does put some skill into it, doesn't it? It puts some skill into it, doesn't it? Because it's really easy to, well, I say easy, that's an understatement, but it's really easy if you're at the front and you can drive away and you've got the pace because you're in the clean air. But let's say, for argument's sake now, that Luke does win this race. He's going to start from the back next race, and that is going to be a massive, massive challenge for him, because his pace is obviously very good, but he's also got to contend with people that have got significantly less pace, potentially, at the back, and make his way through safely.
That could be dangerous situations that we will see there, but we'll have to wait and see what happens in the second race. But the thing when you start from the back of this large field, and you have a pace advantage of everyone ahead of you, and you don't have too much time, honestly, to get through the field, but you still need to get it done as quickly as possible. That could be the time where you might lose your cool for a little bit and try to rush some overtakes that shouldn't have been rushed, and that's something that we'll have to wait and see how they will manage that. It says there's a mandatory pit stop in game. I'm being informed. That doesn't look very good, and it does actually say that there's a mandatory pit stop in game. I have just noticed boom. Sam, need a fix. Let me just leave you to Andy King for a second and hear his smooth voice.
Oh, what an introduction that is! So there's no pressure, is there? So, but yeah, I think like we've seen, qualifying's been very tight. It's going to be a really, really interesting race. If we use the Tier 1 race that happened last week as a bit of a gauge for how this race might go, the race last week was spicy, to say the least. There was quite a few incidents that the stewards had to get involved with. Tier 2 typically might be a little bit safer. The points make a big difference, and you know, a little bit of damage in your car, on your car here makes a big difference. You know, if you get a bit of rear aero damage, for example, that's going to affect your top speed, it affect your speed down the straights, and that's detrimental to your race. So the awareness of these drivers is going to be super key, I think, for a good result for them here. Obviously, this is a slight change of tact for SSRI. Normally, they do a 65-minute and a 75-minute race. However, this time it's a, as Oliver said earlier, it's a 20-minute sprint now, and then we'll go into a 45-minute reverse grid race afterwards. Admin are just doing some stuff behind the scenes to remove the mandatory pit stop, so please bear with us while that happens. Oliver and I were actually saying earlier that we didn't expect to see anybody into the 27s, so to see how tight it actually was at the top is very good, and it's nice to see 3 classes as well, actually. So it really sort of opens it up to those drivers that are sort of new into ACC or new into league racing and want an opportunity to try and race with a good community. So if you're watching and you've never raced with the SSRI before, or you want to, check them out on their website. I'm sure there's some stuff in the YouTube channel that can be shared. This is about to start now. Now I'm not sure if this is actually going to go ahead, as there's a mandatory pit stop, but it might give us a bit of an indication as to what happens at the start. Well, I think Oliver has just come back to join us in the commentary booth.
Just give me a second.
Hopefully with an update on what might be happening for all of the viewers. But admin are aware that there's a mandatory pit stop, as it's been said in the YouTube chat. So yeah, it's being worked on behind the scenes at the moment. The update from the admin team is that the race will continue with the mandatory pit stop in the 20-minute race. So that's going to throw a real curveball out there for these drivers, but I suppose that's part and parcel of racing, isn't it? You have to adapt, you have to overcome, and you have to make changes at the last second. So it's going to be really interesting. Fortunately, it's not going to rain this race, because that would have been even more of a curveball for some of them if they just put themselves onto dry tyres. But you can see that all of the drivers are on their out lap at the minute. There'll be a full formation lap as we go down towards turn 2, on board with Luke Wilson at the minute. There's a bit of a bird's eye view from Tech 1 Racing in the number 3 car, and you can see just how many cars are actually on this grid. You can imagine the fun that they're going to have out there at the minute, especially when that reverse grid kicks in.
Yeah, drivers have been informed that they will have to serve their pit stop and encouraged just do a 1 liter splash and dash when they serve it. I've been asked, yes, but whether or not that the pit rules are that they actually have to check tires, I don't know. Honestly, I can't see that anywhere. So.
I've just seen a comment in the YouTube chat from Regan Mitchell, who said, "Let's play a game of who's practiced pit entry." Now, I don't know for any of our viewers if you've ever tried the pit entry at Red Bull Ring, but it's very fast and dangerous. And when it goes wrong, it really goes wrong. But when it goes right, it can make or break a race. To be quite honest with you, because yeah, with a split of drivers that are so tight at the minute, you lose a couple of seconds in the pit stop, you're dropping 5 or 6 spots down the grid order, and that's substantial. There's also an opportunity here for, if you're stuck in traffic, you can pit early, get out of a bit of traffic. The only disadvantage is that you don't want to do it too late and end up becoming a blue flag.
No, if you're in the front and you pit early, then you will have the risk that you'll come out in traffic. So if you're at the front of the field, I would probably wait with the pit stop until the very last possible moment. But if you're near the back, then yeah, then it will be more strategic. You could risk becoming a blue flag, of course, in this track as it is short. But anyways, we are about to go racing as we are on the start-finish line. And those who have been following for a long time, they know the magical words at this point for racing. Ladies, gentlemen, those who identify as otherwise, we are close to be racing! Good start there from Vladimir. It looks like he actually jumps Luke Wilson in the start into turn 1, but Wilson gets the outside line and he will carry more speed through. Wilson takes the start, still leading the race. I think that the Audi of Chris Haas have dropped a few positions, as it looks like Filipacci got the move done on him up into P3. Look from above into to turn 3, few yellows in turn 1, of course. Wilson still leads the pack. Clean so far in turn 3. A few moves happening on the outside. Ooh, big set there from the pink Mercedes, or one of the pink Mercedes. Small wiggle there, but everyone through turn 3 nicely. As we'll go back to the action further up the field in just a few seconds, as Wilson have already broken the a gap to Vladimir for above half a second after just a few corners. So I think it's somewhat safe to say that Wilson might be running away with this one. But just behind him, Vladimir under severe pressure there from Filipacci and Haas, and Van Drijl right behind him as well. All these drivers, they we did see a bit of them in the first race. Don't think that we saw that much of Vladimir in race 1. I think he might be new actually to the championship, but nevertheless doing a good job in P2 at the minute, and will have the position after lap 1. Filipacci under pressure now from Haas. No, that is Haas, but not enough overspeed there from Haas. He will have to fall back in, but Haas just could have gotten a better exit there if he got that through. Now Filipacci in the slipstream of Vladimir.
Yeah, I think that's been a very clean start, and I think this slipstream is going to make it really interesting. If he can keep on the back of Vladimir, it's going to potentially open up an opportunity into this next corner for him. He's only a mile length behind. Oh,
big set there. He didn't get the move done, as he didn't carry the speed on the exit further down. A little bit of a scramble for positions as well. Almost 3 wide, it looks like. Running down the after turn 3. Contacts a little bit there, but safely through this time around. Now that's Filipacci under pressure from Haas. Haas on the outside. Can he make it hold? It's a difficult corner to make it stick. Filipacci on the inside, giving a big old squeeze there, but fair racing so far. Filipacci under severe pressure now from Haas. Haas could come under pressure from Jesse Van Drijl as well, as Jesse might have the run out of turn 8 into turn 9. Jesse tries to show himself on the inside, though a little bit optimistic to try for that move. Loses quite a bit then. Ups for the early pit stop does Jesse Van Drijl. Interesting to see where he will emerge on track after that pit stop. Van Drijl, first driver to take advantage of the mandatory pit stop in the race, which does leave Filipacci and Haas with some a little bit less pressure from behind, as they can put all focus onto trying to catch up to Vladimir. Will overtake Vladimir as they're right on the back of him. Into turn 3 we go once again. Filipacci shows himself on the inside. That will be collision. Archie there. Haas spins out by himself in the background. Someone takes evasive action and loses the position as well. The red car, but the rest of the drivers see big launch. Then there's another car coming up on the inside. Good camera angle we're seeing here from Graham Park, Brazil. He managed to place his camera just right for all the action.
Yeah, that was a big send into that braking zone, wasn't it? No doubt that'll be one for the stewards after the race. But Luke Wilson has pulled a massive gap now. He's 1.7 seconds up on P2, but there's a battle going on here for P2.
Yeah, that's Filipacci and Vladimir. Filipacci this time on the inside line. This could be the move that gets it done. Though it's a drag race off the corner, the Porsche does seem to get a little bit better traction. That this could actually be very good for Jesse Van Drijl. Ooh! Turns across the nose there. This could be good news for Jesse Van Drijl, as he will have clean air to try and catch up to these guys. As something just happened as I was looking on the track map. Whoa, big contact there.
Big spin in the final corner.
What you want to do, and this is not a good place to be stationary. This could cause further incidents at least.
That is not the place you want to be stopped on track. It really, really isn't. It's a fast corner.
It isn't right on the exit of the corner as well, where you want to put your car. A few other people opting to take the pit stops this time around, and Demonk spins it directly onto the apex, or well, the ideal line out of the corner. That was Pascal Vida, I think, in the FedEx. No, not Vida. The one is the FedEx driver. Not Brooklyn either. Cohen Geens, of course. It's Cohen Geens who got collected there, and we just saw a brief moment of free wide action with two of the other DDS cars. But then we jump back to Geens. Here we go. It's Peter, Brooklyn, Ferris, and Vance Vince in the action. 3 McLarens. None of them have taken the pits yet. As they go flying. I wonder what happened to Van der Geil if the standings just haven't updated properly yet, because he's only in P30 quite far behind Chris Haas. I wonder if he had to take extra fuel in that pit stop, or by accident repaired damage or something like that. Nevertheless, there could be in the background. Looks like some action is going on there, but Brooklyn seem to have come out ahead in this freeway McLaren battle. Ooh, the 2 yellows and the white in the background. Ferris doesn't get a good run out of that one. This could be the move for wins in the other DDS car, and of course Brooklyn will be trying to give him the slipstream advantage if he gets the choice and opportunity for that. But nothing happens between Vince and Ferris there, this time around at least. Further up the field, Oscar Arctis making some progress. That's Dimitri Schenk spun around. Oscar Arctis making a little bit of progress in the race up to P15, but a lot of people have pitted behind him. Filbarati in the pits as well this time around after the contact spin we saw earlier. There's not that much action this time around through turn 3, as I say that too earlier. So I think that was Arctis that almost hit the back of another car there, and a few cars going wide on the exit. The DDS cars are trying to, or Brooklyn is trying to put pressure on Dimitri Schenk further up. We saw that as well, but here Arctis on Ritterbusch and Karen Morfield behind. We know that there are quite a few people who likes Morfield in the chat. The Snaggenson Strive, why Muglen got an Audi livery. Ooh, contact there from Morfield. Yet another one on the Myrtle sheet for him, I think. But why Brooklyn have the Audi livery on his McLaren, that's actually a thing that they ran last season as well. The DDS team last season, they had all 3 of the DDS drivers in different variations of the Audi livery on the McLaren. Just because of reasons they do that. This season, of course, we have the Audi livery, the FedEx livery, and the M&M's livery on the DDS cars. Here we have Monza wins in the DDS M&M's car. Still putting pressure on Ferris, trying the inside into turn 10. Not the most optimum as Morfield in the background. Could potentially get a good run out of turn 10 and get a move done into turn 1, as he have been put a little bit back in the standings as well after that that contact he just had. But not enough overspeed there for Morfield to get anything done on Vince.
And this could get spicy down here in towards this corner as we might see a move on here. We're going to be 3 wide, I think. Oh, he's back out in the Mercedes. Very clever. Yeah, probably the right thing to do there, I think.
Yeah, it would have probably ended wrong if they would have gone 3 wide into this corner.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it goes down. Is that Denise Pope's McLaren we see up ahead being quite slow? This could be bad news for Pope. Is she in the McLaren? Yeah, I think she is in the McLaren. If that's Pope, then she... No, that wasn't Pope. What? I wasn't getting... I thought that was a wild thing. Guys, Ritterbusch have spun around onto the grass. He goes, have to wait, and that must have been with... No, probably not with Morfield. They weren't that close to each other, but Morfield have spun as well at the end of turn 3.
It's an unfortunate place to spin. He's got to let nearly the entire grid come past him before he can safely rejoin.
He will have to let the entire grid go past, and he still haven't served his pit stop, Kevin Morfield, so he will be back of the pack basically when he does that. Van Dosberg with, I think that was that a stop-go 30, or was it a drive-through for him? That must have been speeding in the pits, which of course is part of the thing.
Indeed.
Ooh, very unfortunate for Van Dosberg there. That's one of the things when you have the pit lane and when the drivers wasn't aware of the mandatory stop before the race. It's people haven't necessarily practiced it that much, at least the pit lane. So at least Morfield can look forward to race 2, where he'll be quite far up the grid. Maybe he'll be lining up next to Van Dosberg in the front row if nothing wild happens for the remainder of the race. Following Francorchamps, who have gone into 6th position. Also quite a big of an upwards trajectory from Hop from the start of the race, but then again half of the field basically have taken a pit stop, and Francorchamps haven't done that yet. Still, the top 2 drivers haven't chosen to take their pit stops yet. Luke Wilson, of course, not in traffic at the minute, so he have no reason to do so. And the same goes for Vladimir, of course, in P2. Big gap between those drivers, by the way. I feel like it's about 9 seconds that Wilson have pulled out on Vladimir after just 7 laps of racing. Doing quite a good job up there in the front, does Wilson. He did win last time out on Spa, but that was mainly due to the big incident for Jesse Van Dryle there that caused him a good result. But I handed it over to Luke Wilson, and he dominated the race basically from the point of Van Dryle's instant to finish.
It's going to be really interesting to see where Haas comes out. He's the furthest person up the grid order to a box, and he's got quite a gap to everybody else that hasn't pitted in front of him. So I wonder if that strategy for him pitting a little bit earlier is going to play off, and whether he jumps a few spots that looks slightly wide on that exit there.
He came into the pits in 3rd place, so he can't jump that many, but I do feel like that he'll be jumping Vladimir. He did look to have more pace before the pit stops, and he haven't had that much traffic out there on track, so there have been a little bit for Haas, but not so much that I feel like that would have impeded his chances of putting in the world's largest undercut on Vladimir.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's going to jump Luke. He might jump Vladimir though. Vladimir was involved in the incident earlier on, wasn't he? If I remember correctly, that might have.
I don't know. I think it happened just behind Vladimir, but he was in a bit of a fight with Fibonacci and Haas very early in the race. Anyways, to Steve Parker we go, who's under pressure from, or is pressuring. Sorry, Steve Park is. No, is he the white car? I think Steve Parker is the white car, who have just made an overtake on Gallant, who podiumed last time out in the rookie class. Also best placed rookie driver at the minute, though Waymans have already taken his pit stop further down the field. As we see both Francorchamps and Finnemar coming into the pits that time around. Oh, Steve Parker is behind Gallant, it looks like. That's I was just getting confused with all these cars on track, but yeah, Steve Parker trying to put pressure on Gallant, the rookie drivers. That's Kieran Morfield, who gets lapped by the pair of drivers. Not the greatest of races for Kieran this time around, but he will look for redemption in race 2 this evening, the 40-minute sprint race after this one, or the feature races. This would be the sprint.
Gallant's doing a fantastic job here, being up into P5. I know he's not boxed yet, but he is significantly the furthest rookie up the timing screen for Sky Tempster Racing. Although I think that's just the name of the livery, isn't it? That's not actually a team name, I think.
That's one of the teams in game that you can choose from. The Sky Tempester Racing team. They also used to run a Mercedes, the Sky Tempester team, way back when. Oh no, sorry, that was a Ferrari they used to run. Or was it? I think it was. Now I'm just getting confused and mumbling. Anyways, Dave Gallant, the Canadian driver, won on Spa in the rookie class. A good race from him last time out, but it's still interesting to see where he will come out in regards to whether or not that he'll have the position on Waymans after the first rounds of pit stops, or well, the only round of pit stops we hope for the drivers. It would be unfortunate if you have to go into the pits twice. Denise Pope comes into the pits. Ooh. That's Johan Planners, who have spun and goes driving again. He just clears the oncoming traffic there. Never a good idea to start moving when you have to cross the ideal racing line after a blinder. That's Dimitri Schenk, who gets spun second time he's around, but that was Chris Haas who did that. That could potentially be a report after the race from Dimitri on Haas, and that could impede Haas's chances in this race quite a bit if something comes out of that, but that was the risk that Chris Haas ran by pitting early. He would have to deal with traffic, and that could be his downfall at this point. Woo, big action further down the field. That's Vida, Schenk, Johan, and the Porsche driver of Van der Berg, it looks like, and someone else behind as well. That could be Waymans. But that's Van der Berg putting a little bit of too much pressure there on the Lambo, free wide into the corner. I think the Lambo was forced to do that on Dimitri Schenk, it looked like. as the Lambo unfortunately got the worst of that. That was Pascal Vida in the Lambo there, the Sim Racing Holland driver. He will be fuming in that car. The 98 car spun as well out of turn 9. A few yellow flags have been shown in brief succession on the track. Some action is starting to pick up a little bit in the race with under 5 minutes to go. This is the time where you want to start scrubbling for position. Vladimir comes into the pits, or actually he's leaving the pits as we're speaking. Interesting to see where he'll be in terms of Chris Haas as he goes out on track. Let's see if Haas will come flying by. That'll be the triple free. Haas is only going through turn 1 now, so this means that Vladimir is still P2 in the race virtually, of course, after virtual pit stops from Wilson and the drivers ahead of him. Whether or not that someone will squeeze in between Vladimir and Haas, we'll have to wait and see. As here we have Vladimir coming through the picture. That's Chris Haas in the black Audi. Or Van Dryle, and that's Van Dryle afterwards. I feel like Dmitry Schenk is being launched into that corner. We just missed that on yellow flags down there. Oh,
that was very close there.
Apex, yeah, not the best of ideas, and spinning it on the grass is actually quite easy. Don't go there, goddammit! No! Oh, close. Close call. That's the thing in the sprint races. None of these drivers have patience to wait for anything because they know they won't have time to go through. Luke Wilson in the pits from the lead of the race, which means that Bart Swearing will be leading, although he will probably have to pit at the end of this lap or next one. He could probably wait to take the stop for. We'll have to wait and see. But Wilson into the pits he goes, likely to come out in the front of the field on this if he for some reason chooses to take tires, which would be unfortunate. And some drivers might have accidentally had that on their pit stop menus before the race and didn't swap it around.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers are going to be taking just probably 1 litre of fuel just to minimise the time that they have to spend in the pit stops. But like I say, if somebody doesn't take off them tyres or they accidentally fill up more fuel than they need to, that's a significant amount of time loss that they're going to receive. But hopefully they've all been switched on enough to make the changes to their pit stop menu when they come into the pits.
Yes, it's Swearing, they're getting sideways. Yeah, it's one of those things that you have to think on your feet, but just remembering to tick that box, don't change the tires, that can be a little bit tricky, and you might not notice until it's too late. Planers getting some yellow flags. That's Johan once again doing or causing some yellows there. He seemed to have issues with that turn 10 around here. As Bart Swearing dives into the pits from the lead of the race. That's Garcia behind coming in as well. And Gallant, of course, and Parker will be following him behind. So a little bit of action there.
Flag as well, number 35 car by the looks of it. Looks like they've got going again now though. Although they are now white flags, so they're moving slowly. It's Max Spooner.
The other Lexus driver, custom livery on that car. Let's just take a brief moment to enjoy the livery of Max Spooner, as I think it's new to him to run the custom liveries in ACC. Some variation on the color there, switching from the blue to green further down. A little bit spacey livery. I quite like it with the detail, especially from the front. The car looks very satisfying to look at. The racing stripes down the roof as well. Any thoughts on the livery, Mr. Andy?
I thought you was going to call me Mr. Potter then.
Mr. Potter?
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I do quite like it. It's a nice blend of different colours, isn't it? I will say I've never been one for being very good in the paint booth. So anybody who's able to paint a car and make it look good is a winner in my eyes, to be honest. Because I definitely do not have that talent.
You know what? Me neither. I always get other people to do my liveries for me because I have zero skill in that either, and I don't understand computers at all. Gallant still haven't taken his pit stop. He will definitely want to come in this time around, otherwise it will be too late for him. Leading the rookie class still. Interesting to see where he will come out after this. He does take the pit stop. This will be a time penalty after the race. You cannot do it on the final lap. Dmitry Schenk also haven't pitted yet. He will definitely be diving into the pits now.
That looks like excuse the pun, but that looks like a rookie error from Gallant there.
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah, now we are. It's a final lap of the race. Unfortunate there for Gallen, as he'll be throwing away a result, as he'll get a time penalty after the race. Dimitri Schenk also haven't stopped yet, and he's not going to. He's also continuing on the start-finish line. Interesting. They might count that the penalty is less than a pit stop, but I do think it's larger actually. So Luke Wilson will probably get promoted into P1 after this race. And this could
yellow flags again in the final corner.
It's Arctis this time. It does seem like those two pink Mercedes cars, they have issues in that corner. Oscar Arctis spun around there, following who will eventually take the race win here. Luke Wilson around the final lap, 7.8.
Yellow flag here.
Which part safely at the wall. Luke Wilson only 7.8 seconds now down to Vladimir. I wonder if Luke have settled down a little bit. The Lexus is very hard on tires, that must be said. But I wonder if he have just started to take it a little bit more easy after the pit stop round, and he noticed that he was in the front. Not that far behind. Gallen haven't stopped yet. They're the 1/32 added time penalty. Unfortunately, it doesn't sort itself out right now as we speak. It will be after the race. But big unfortunate there.
A very good drive from Luke Wilson, though. He led started on pole, finished first, and purple lap. I think that was nice for him, but it'll be a real challenge in the next starting from the back.
Yes, he did get the purple lap as well. Now the driver's coming in. 1/32 time penalty for Dimitri Schenk as well. As all the cars come flying by, a lot of the cars very close over the line. Actually, very exciting race. This first short sprint race, or this reverse sprint, or first race in this sprint format style racing. Wouldn't you say, Mr. Potter?
Yeah, it's very Mr. Potter. I'm never going to get over that. That's become a thing now, hasn't it?
Oh yes.
Yeah, it's been a very spicy race. We knew that Red Bull Ring brings a lot of action. We know it's a tough track. There's tough overtaking zones. It's a fast track, and like I said earlier, I think from the Tier 1 race we saw a lot of contact, and Tier 2 has been very similar. The stewards are definitely earning their pay this week, although I'm sure Chris probably doesn't like me saying that, because I'm sure they don't get paid. You should pay your stewards, Chris. Come on.
No, the stewards, they actually do get paid in
I take it back.
In very kind words.
Kind words and lots of love.
Yes, exactly. Maybe the love is too much from time to time from Chris Hill. I must say it's getting a bit rough around the edges, but this is a children's show, so we can't talk about that. Although it's after 9 in Central Europe, so
yeah, you've got 35 minutes to wait in the UK. That was a good first race. I enjoyed watching all the action. I think some of the drivers are certainly going to be thinking about what their strategy needs to be for this second race, given where they're going to start on the grid. And I think it's tough, isn't it? It's tough to figure out what you want to do. You know, do you just go full send and hope for the best? Do you wait for some accidents to happen in front of you and try and capitalise on some of the mistakes of other drivers? Are you patient? So there's a lot to think about.
Well, you have to go for the moves when they are there. When the opportunities present themselves, then you have to go for them, because you do have a lot of cars you need to overtake. Whether you be on the absolute back of the grid, or if you are making your way forward. It's there will be a lot of cars that you have to negotiate, but if you're lucky, then cars will obviously crash out ahead of you, and you have to be aware of that there could be a lot of yellow flags in the next race. And yeah, you just have to try not to get collected by any of the yellows that will be there.
Yeah, and there certainly will be some yellows. I've just seen in the stream, the stewards don't get paid, they don't get kind words, they get nothing, they just get abuse. Just saying.
Well, that is true from time to time, but
I'm joking. They all do a fantastic job. They obviously take up a lot of their own time to try and sort out a lot of these incidents.
Abuse or love, that's a matter of perspective, to be honest, on how it works. So it's a rough line. It's a rough line, so give or take. Give or take. And now we're just waiting for for the second race to be all sorted out and grids and everything there to get the reverse grid format going. So we have a few time. So maybe we can just do a quick shout out and say remember to tune in this Saturday when we go endurance racing once again here on the Simsport Racing International YouTube channel, where we'll be taking on the massive, the monstrous, the mighty, the magnificent Nürburgring Nordschleife for 24 hours of hell. Mr. Andy, how are you looking forward to that particular race?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I keep saying everything's interesting. Everything is interesting, isn't it? If you think, well, the life is interesting. But yeah, the Nords it's a really tough track, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's relentless. It's unforgiving. You get to 2-3 o'clock in the morning, you're tired. It might be raining. Your teammates are they awake? Are they not awake? Are they going to turn up for their next stint? You know, there's a lot of things to think about. What does the strategy look like? All that stuff. So it's going to be really interesting, and you know, people don't win it on the first lap at the Nordschleife for sure.
No, but there will definitely be people trying to when we go racing there. But it will be an interesting race. A difficult track to master. Personally, I haven't managed to get that many laps done on the track so far. I have spent quite a few hours practicing, but not that many laps on the board. So come race day, it will be interesting to see how it all pans out. We have had some issues in my team regards to setup, whether or not that we want a car where you basically have to wait until Christmas to turn it in due to understeer or a more aggressive setup, and yeah, then again with driver timings, we have had this is quite a few years ago now, but when we did the 24 hours of Spa with SSRI way back when, we actually had a driver who overslept and forced one of our other teammates to do a triple stint when he was only supposed to doubles in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? There's a lot of flexibility required, I think, in the 24-hour races, because you know, you plan your stints and you say, right, I'm going to be in the car at 11, you're going to be in the car at 12, or you know, whatever it might be. But as soon as it rains, or as soon as you have a crash, or as soon as somebody doesn't wake up, it just throws all of your strategy that you planned on your head, and you've got to rethink. And you need an element of flexibility, and I suppose that's where the teamwork really does come into play. And unfortunately, some people get the rough end of that stick, because sometimes people don't turn up, or sometimes things happen and somebody might have a technical issue and you've got to adjust. Because it's all part of team racing, though, isn't it?
There's actually a particular and quite easy solution to the nighttime driving. Just get an American on the team.
That's very true, yes.
That's what we did, and it works wonders for us, except when he crashes the car. But we'll have to wait and see what happens, of course.
Yeah, I'm the odd one in the PS UK esports team for sure, because I'm the one that enjoys doing the night stints. So despite it being a particularly long day, I don't know, it makes life a bit easier, doesn't it, if there's somebody that's willing to do them. But yeah, for sure, having somebody that's in a different time zone definitely helps.
Yeah, most definitely does. I enjoy the nighttime driving as well, though. To be honest, I haven't driven that much nighttime in our 24-hour races or longer races as of late, for several different reasons. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the challenge of the Nordschleife as well. And remember to tune in here on the SSRI YouTube channel. At what time, Chris Hill, in the background, will you tell these guys to tune into the channel? It's actually a good question, but around midday, I presume. I think the race will start midday. The broadcast will probably start from about 11:30 Central European or British time. I would assume British when Chris is talking to me, as he is one of those British cons that prefer speaking in funny British time. Also, just completely out of context, I was watching a video explaining Fahrenheit the other day, and it actually makes sense how they measure temperature. It's basically a scale from 0 to 100, and then you can go above and beyond, of course, but 50 is nice temperature, perfect weather. Above 50 it's getting hot, underneath 50 it's getting cold, and that's the scale. It's just a 1 to 100 or 0 to 100 scale, and then it will go out of range when it's super hot or super cold.
To be honest, in the UK, it's either too hot or too cold. In all honesty, But yes, yes,
Yeah,
is the answer to that.
but why even try and learn Fahrenheit, as it's basically only the crazy Americans who use it, and they are completely wrong for doing a weird system that makes no sense.
We're going to backtrack slightly here, but going back to the Nordschleife, did you see Luke Whitehead solo the Nordschleife in the LFM Enduro?
No, I didn't.
So Luke did 24 hours solo in the Porsche in split 1 and took P3. So for anybody that says, I haven't got a team, SSRI might let you solo if you ask Chris nicely.
I
You
think
might not. You'd have to ask very nicely, I imagine.
Yeah, I think you have to ask him very nicely, and you have to put a very good reason for why you have to drive it solo.
Yep.
And having no friends is not usually a particularly good enough reason for Mr. Chris Hill.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. Would not recommend it. That is very tough. I find that 4 or 5 drivers is a nice balance.
I think 5 is too many, man. That's under 6 hours of play. Yeah. I think 3 or 4 would be perfect.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on the availability of your team, doesn't it? I suppose how flexible you can be.
Yeah, and whether or not you have the mighty Americans driving for you.
Absolutely.
Anyways, we are getting close to lining up on the grid for race 2, 40-minute race, reverse grid order from race 1. Don't know exactly how it will work out with the time penalties after the race, how that have been handled with the reverse grid, but I assume that it's all said and done, and it's figured out how to do that, and they will be in their correct positions. It will be easy to see, of course, whether or not that Garant, whatever the Canadian driver is on in last place or not. We'll have to wait and see, but it is what it is. He is not in last, I've been told, so the time penalties have been applied. Thank goodness gracious for that. He is not first on the quiz. Chris is now telling me in the background, but we need to know whether or not he is last. God damn it! Let's get some pictures on the track and try and find him. No, Chris is saying robberish in the background. And Chris is still just saying some rubbish in the background in my ears. I can't understand him. He's falling out a little bit as well. So Chris Hill will try and find the figure out whether or not that Gallant is on the last row of the grid, or he have been moved up midfield somewhere. Nevertheless, Andy, you have 2 minutes and 40 seconds to tell us a joke before the race starts.
God. Oh God, no pressure. You can't give me pressure like that. I'll give you a riddle. How would you like a riddle? Let's see if you no pressure. If a red house is red and a blue house is blue, what colour is a greenhouse?
Well, green.
Oh. Well, anybody in the stream? Come on. If a red house is red and a blue house is blue, what colour is a greenhouse?
Non-existent. Who would want to have any other color than red on your house?
Why would you have a red house? That's interesting.
Well, red brick. Red brick, of course.
Okay, yeah, possibly. Yeah, you're trying to avoid the answer here.
No. I'm just waiting for YouTube to get a chance to answer before myself.
Yeah, come on, YouTube. If a red house is red and a blue house is blue, what colour is a greenhouse? Bet you don't get riddles on stream very often.
No, we don't. But I think we will do an hourly segment of that during the endurance race. Andy, you can prepare 24 riddles, please.
Yes, no problem. Towards the end of the race, we'll get some riddles out there so you're awake enough to think about the answers.
Yes, that seems like the perfect solution. Anyways,
Chris Pinchbeck has got the correct answer with clear. It's a greenhouse. It's glass. It looks after plants and all that fun stuff.
What a boring type of house. Who would want to live in that that feces house? We can't say the S word either, I've been told. Tramps mainly, Chris Hill is saying. Anyways, 1 minute to go until we get some sort of formation lap. Has Pinchbeck won anything else but honor? Absolutely not. But anyways, good job, Mr. Pinchbeck. This
I'll have
is
to bring a more
getting...
complicated riddle next time.
Oh yes, you can maybe just go on to Google and write top 24 most difficult riddles to solve while you're under pressure on a live stream.
We should get a commentary box going and drag drivers in mid-stint and get them to answer riddles. And if they don't get a riddle, they just get a drive-through penalty. Sounds like a perfect charity race.
I think that you could. I know a community where you could definitely get the the admin team to get a rule like that onto well in effect. So you could go another place and ask for that. I don't think that would be something that would ever happen here unless we start doing super fun races, which would be fun, of course. Van Dusberg takes a pole position in race 2. Ferris lining up next to him, Geens and Artis behind them. I'm not going through the entirety of the grid, but you can see over on the side, Gallant ends up in a 12th position in the starting order for this race, which means he dropped quite a few positions. And this also brings us a rare opportunity to see who actually won the rookie class. That would have been Wayman Spooner second and then Grove third in race 1 for that category.
I know there's a thing called commentator's curse, and I really don't want to do this now, but Oliver, who do you think's going to take the win here in this 45-minute race?
I think it will be Mr. Filbaratti.
Ooh,
No
okay,
doubts in my mind. I think that's the quite easy pick, as he was fighting for P2 in race 1, and yeah, he got the spun around. He's starting 8th in this one, so he will definitely have a good chance of putting in a top result around here this time. So I think Mr. Filbaratti have a good shot of this. Who would you say, Mr. Potter?
Ooh, I'm going to go with a curveball here, given the pace in the last race. I'm going to back Luke Wilson, even though he's last. Yeah, I think he's going to do last first.
45 minutes.
Yeah, that's a big shout. I don't know. That's a tough challenge, but we'll see what happens.
I think it'll be a little bit too tough. It is.
Possibly.
Let's just say 9 and 18. Is he like 20 seconds quicker than Filbaratti over 45 minutes, and then he'll have to negotiate traffic as well?
Yeah,
that's basically the question. True. But let's see what Luke Wilson can do from 40th position on the grid. The British driver, who seems to be on a roll here in Tier 2. He will, of course, be looking for a decent amount of or a good points haul in the second race as well, to get himself up in to pull away in the championship, because he is definitely leading now after two wins. We never got around to look on the championship standings before the race, actually. Now I feel like it's a little bit too late for that kind of shenanigans. But Van Dusberg will be the first driver to round turn 10. Or 9 and 10, and line up on the start-finish line in the double file formation. He will be leading the field across the start-finish line, and he will be the one who starts the race on pole position. I don't think that Van Dusberg have been in this position many times in his sim racing career before. No one have lined up next to him yet. I wonder what is going on here. It does seem a little bit strange that there's such a big gap there up in the front, as we are on the start-finish line, which means we're about to get the magical words of SSRI Tier 2 Racing, as we are close to be racing for the second time this evening. Van Dusberg onto a great start. Cohen Geen seems to be getting the run on Ferris, but moves over there into the way of Arctis. Big bunch up further down the field. Look at that, Filbaratti getting the run on both those two drivers and up into, what would that be? That'd be somewhat close to 5th or something like that from Filbaratti. The helicopter view, the stationary helicopter drone cam, whatever you want to call it, through turn 3. We go for the first time in 45 minutes. That's a big step there, taking out another car. That's a 3 positions for Filbaratti as well, if he wasn't the car who got hit there by Cohen Geens, who will have to wait for the entirety of the field to go through.
Yeah, that was a big send there, but that's allowed quite a lot of cars past. He's going to be kicking himself for that one, I think.
Yeah, you know what? That could have been Filiparachi that got contacted there. It was a great car. I do feel like it was. But Filiparachi in 6th position, making some movements for. Ooh, there's a crash fail down the field. That's a Johan involved in that one. And the camera doing crazy things, and that was Chris Hill's go-kart track. We just saw there the great scenery. Further up the field, side by side through these couple of corners, and now Filiparachi can get a double overtake done if he is careful. Almost contact there with the BMW, but will he launch the McLaren? He does try for it. Filiparachi moves himself over to, what is that, P3, I believe, in the race at this point. Maybe even P2, because that was Van Dosberg, I think, further behind him. Martinelli is around the Italian driver. Almost coming into the pit frame. We saw Haas going through him as well, which means the Italian driver of the 98 car is way down. Filiparachi up into P2. Oscar Arctis is ahead of him, but Dimonk seems to be having the run of him into turn 3. Whether or not that they can stay clear of contact, we'll have to wait and see. Filiparachi goes a little bit defensive there, or at least chooses the inside line, maybe just to stay out the way of a possible launch there from
Oh, big crash, big crash.
Big crash and contacts going on in turn 3. Yellow flags will be out, so drivers will have to slow down and don't get any advantage out of this, even though many cars just seem to be gaining positions. Quite a bit of that. I feel like Dimitri Shek have been involved in quite a few incidents so far in these 2 races, not getting the hang of the Red Bull ring so far. Not the greatest of race for him.
It's a really tough place to spin around there. You're right on the apex, and you're just in the firing zone of cars coming into that corner. Big yellow flag.
Yeah, that's Cohen Geens once again who causes that yellow. Filiparachi on the outside of Oscar Arctis into turn 9. He's already passed before they start braking. Oh, well, he at least had his nose through. Very close to contact through 9, and that's the move. Dumont goes through as well. Oscar Arctis down to P3, 2 corners for him, loses 2 positions. Not optimum for Arctis. He will try to get back in this race and see if he can get a hold and throw the line out and take the back of Dumont. I think Filiparachi will be running away with this one from this point on if he can keep the car on track. Daniel Hummel now jumping up to Gallant, who's applying pressure on Oscar Arctis. Gallant have moved up quite a few positions. Remember, he got that big penalty in race 1. He is currently leading the rookie class, getting the move done there on Oscar Arctis. But Arctis gets the run out of the corner. Big squeeze that will contact in a straight line there, but David Gallant gets the position at least up into P4. He will definitely not be happy with himself after race 1, where he forgot to take the pit stop, basically. Further down the field, Ritterbusch also with a rough race 1 with a spin, trying to get something out of race 2 as he applies pressure to Ferris. Yellow's out again in turn 4. Interesting to see that's the corner that causes issues. That's the pole set of this race, Van Dosberg. His race have gone from potentially good to very bad, down into 38th position as 2 cars have retired from this one already.
Yeah, very unfortunate there. He's having to do a 3-point turn in the middle of the track just to get it turned back around.
Yeah, that's not optimum. Filiparachi is still leading 1.1 second gap at this point. Spin and Brain Race got Popcorn, BS Open. Dirtmund is leading against Atletico. Hey, no, I shouldn't have seen that. I was wanting to watch the game afterwards, and it is pronounced Dirtmund. If anyone is in doubt, it's not Dortmund, it's Dirtmund. So yeah, is what it is. Hummel trying to slipstream himself up to Arctis. Big crash in turn 1 as well. That's Blisters, who've spun around in the one unlucky numbered machinery, waiting for the entirety of the field to go through. That's that's Chris Haas involved in that one. I think Chris Hill is on trying to get a replay of that going to figure out what happened to Chris Haas. No, I'm being told in the background, apparently no replay support for this race. But Chris Haas involved in a big incident then in turn 1. Not good for his championship hopes, or even the hopes of this race. But this is something that we talked about briefly earlier in the race. Do you want to go for the risky moves or not? You have to go for them from time to time in these races, but whether or not that they'll be worth it at the end. You'll have to wait and see. Making 3 wide is never a good option, although we don't know exactly what happened there.
The 613 car's come into the pit as well, and I think if he is actually fixing the car, he's going to come out in a lot of traffic here, which could
I think the
cause some
613
drama.
have been stationary for quite a while in the pits, and he have retired from the race.
Okay.
At this point, Chris Hill's just mumbling in the background, knowing that he is disturbing the flow of the commentary. By doing so, I think, yeah, what a tosser he is. He is working very hard in the background on something. Phil Barazzi still leading the race, actually starting to get Monk by quite a lot, but not as much as I would have been expected. I do believe that if he keeps this going in the current rate, it will be enough to keep Wilson at bay for this race. Remember that the Lexus is very rough on tire wear. That will become a factor later on in this one.
Yeah, I think you might have called it at the start of this one. I think that might be a gold star for you there, Oliver. I'm not sure Luke's going to make his way up to the front row, but a podium would be fantastic from here. But there's a lot of cars in his way at the minute to try and get past. But
podium
yeah, the
is still
95
possible for Wilson. We actually do get a replay here. This is the replay of Chris Haas, and what's happening here? I think he'll be touched by the back. It's Dimitri Schenk ahead. That's a Francorchamps. It's a 3 wide actually with Hub and someone else. That's the American driver in the 217. I can't remember his name, but yeah, very, very unfortunate there. 3 wide is never going to work in that corner, but some people might be anxious to get further forward in the race, or was anxious at that point. They might now be even more anxious, to be perfectly honest, but we'll wait and see what happens later on this race. Still 37 minutes of racing to go this evening. As we jumped straight into the action, the back end of the train here, it's James Draper we are following around here. He's basically connected to a train that goes all the way up into to 8th position before there's a gap forming ahead of it. But this is the thing for the midfield.
Is James Draper's and the Lexus on the same team? They have a very similar livery. Are they teammates? Or is that just coincidence?
I think they are with yes, they most definitely are. But the thing is, for these drivers who would usually finish races in the midfield, they might just have been slowed down there. The Lexus spun around. Unfortunate for Spooner there. 44. That's Parker, goes into the back of him. And then the rest of the drivers go through as they manage to catch that. There was an issue except for the car parked in the wall. On the left hand side, I'm just trying to spot the number through all the other ones. It's hard to say. It's a 65 has also gone around. That's Frans van der Linden. Frans cannot be happy with that one. I see it just picked up some rear end damage as well. That's a teammate. McLaren coming, don't hit him. Managed to avoid the other Sim Racing Holland McLaren there by just a tad.
Haas has just took purple lap as well off our P1 driver. I'm not sure what the time is at the moment. Need to check the timing board, but that's going to be an interesting one to see if he can make his way through the field as well. He was P3, I believe, at one stage in the previous race.
He was.
He's at a 1:29.0 at the moment for purple lap.
0.7. We just have to get that on as well, because we were kind to get that told in the back of our ears with a slight sexy whisper. Anyways, Daniel Hummel P4 in the race. Different class cars in both 1, 2, and 3, and different manufacturers in the top 5 at the minute. Daniel Hummel, of course, the Lamborghini driver of Fortune Honda Racing, trying to catch up to the Tempest livery McLaren ahead of him, of David Gallant. Gallant, who have performed quite well. That's the DDS, that's Peter Brooklyn. Peter Buckland off into the grass. He went in turn 1. That's Todd Curtis as well in the turn 3, who's off the American driver in the 90 car. Not having the best of races. We saw him involved a little bit with the incident with Chris Haas as well. Trying something, a big movement there, under braking from the 2021 car ahead, or 27 it might be, no, 21, because 27 would be Jesse van Dijl. Obviously it's hard, it is 21, it can be hard to see in the cameras from time to time. That triple 11 getting a little bit loose on the curbs. What's that, Nick Vargas number in tier 1 maybe, can't remember exactly. Someone's been off into the gravel there through the turns 7 and 8, it looks like, in the background. At least on the track map, big line of cars, as they will be trying to swap positions, or some of the drivers will be trying to move up, some will be trying to go further down. Denise Pope further down the field under severe pressure, or well, further up the field, I should say, under severe pressure now by the two Porsches. Pope trying to go defensive, but not going onto the marks. A little bit of bump drafting there, moving back to the racing line. Slightly defensive move, 3 wide again, almost into turn 1, sending it, pushing Denise wide in behind the other pink machine ahead of her. Interesting to see what will happen into turn 3, going through turn 2 now. Denise coming across, trying the outside, will be 3 wide, no, backs off smart from the Porsche, but almost 3 wide, further behind a big Constantine effect in the background, causing the contact. Curtis being pushed around like a pinball at the minute.
There's certainly some elbows out here, just trying to make the moves stick for some of these drivers, and it's having it's working for some, and it's having quite a detrimental effect for others where there's contact. And you see the Porsche here coming up the inside. That's a great move up the inside. In fact, capitalising on a mistake.
Yeah, the Porsche read that well. Denise going a little bit too hot into the corner, slowing up the other car, forcing them to be slower on the exit, and then the Porsche could, with a normal line through there, get the move done. That would be Van der Berg in the Porsche that got that done on Waymans in the Aston. Currently third placed in the rookie class. It looks like the Aston Martin there of Waymans further behind. Different class, of course, as we go on board with Van den Berg, who gets the run on Denise Pope out of turn 10. Close together, contact in the straight line. The elbows are definitely out between these two. Pope needs to get early on the brakes and early on the throttle now. Doesn't get that to stick as she gets squeezed a little bit on the exit there, but all nice and fine racing so far. But will she get outdone by Wismans as well? Coming into turn 3, Denise forced to go defensive there. Wismans maybe overshooting that by a little bit, I should say, or maybe a few meters, just a tad. Just a little bit of a tad there from Raymond's. Unfortunate for him, as Pope is continuously under pressure from Waymans, as Waymans got back on track in reasonable fashion there. Big gaggle of car up ahead as well, but this could become a big gaggle also with Pascal Vida joining in the action, and if they are not careful, then Kieran Morfield will catch up to them as well. Here on the back end, that's Vida. Vida spins it on the exit of turn 7.
Oh, that's a big impact. Big impact. That's going to be that race over, I think, for Vida. They're going to have to box, and they've just returned to garage. They're pulling out of this one.
Race, unfortunate there. It's a very small mistake getting the curb on the inside, or just losing the rear end of the car through that corner. And that's yeah, big unfortunate there from Pascal Vida. Of course, we'll have to wait and see if he'll come in for an interview after the race. Bad exit there from Garcia. It looks like in the pink Ferrari. Getting overtaken by Pope. A big incident ahead of Pope there with 3 cars involved. One of them being Frank Hub, but this means that Pope have promoted herself up into, I feel like, 20th position. Good gain there from Pope, and Wismans, of course, as well, who gained those positions, being third in the rookie class at the minute. He's on a mission to catch up to Spooner and the Lexus further up the road.
We've got a yellow flag. Another person.
That was Van der Berg, the 21 car.
And the 112 car, I think that is. 113.
Oh, that's 113. The one unlocked. That's Patrick Blister, who's waiting there for cars to go through. Good job for him, still trying to get something out of the race. And we go up to Dimitri Schenk, who has been very unlucky in the Stub and Owl racing car this evening of dual racing. Once again, he visits Mr. Barry R.
We're getting a question in the stream for where is Luke Wilson now, so can't quite see. But he's at the Red Bull Ring apparently.
No, he's on the virtual Red Bull Ring. He's probably at home on his simulator.
He is currently P10.
What Mr. Potter just said, P10 for for Wilson. He still has an outside chance of winning the race, though very unlikely at this point. But a podium is still somewhat likely for him with the pace he showed in race 1 at least. As Kieran Morphle is now catching up to the back of Garcia and Denise Pope. Whether or not that Morphle could for once get a clean move done. No, just kidding, Kieran. But if he can get the move done, we'll have to wait and see. On Garcia, it looks like that Mercedes have a bit more grunt than Garcia. Garcia misses the brakes there. Denise being very aware, not turning into that corner and letting Garcia through. Though Garcia would probably have to give this one back in offense, and he does. Smart and good sportsmanship there from Garcia. Good to see that on track as well, letting the other pink car through, and Kieran Morphle as well. Kieran is now applying quite a bit of pressure on Denise Pope in the pink McLaren. Let's go onto the hood of Kieran Morphle's car, basically. See, he
hasn't had a break from any pressure at all so far this race. They're going to be wanting just that half a second, just so they can settle in and breathe for the last 28 minutes. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen, as car number 5 is now under yellow flags. I'm not sure what's happened there.
No, and I can't remember who car 5 is. Could have been something with Ritterbusch. Ritterbusch is dropping severe positions at the minute, down into 14th. Last time he went across a timing split there. Not that optimum. Kieran Morphle fans unite, it says in the YouTube chat. He sure is a man beloved by many of the people out there watching. Kieran Morphle, 8th position, trying to get the move on DeMonk at this point of the race. Yeah, Luke Wilson trying to get the move on DeMonk, as I think I said, but Chris Hill tries to say stuff in the back of my head as well. Interesting to see how long he will be behind DeMonk. He have actually made quite a good and clean progress, Luke Wilson, in this race. Haven't been much in the way of him. Or at least maybe the other drivers just chooses not to fight when they see him coming, except for DeMonk here, who well, he's not technically fighting, he's just hitting the apexes of the corner. So let's see what he can do. Shout out there for Fortune Hondas. We have seen one of their cars earlier. Can't remember the driver name of the Fortune Hondas drivers. That would be Hummel, I think, who's currently P2 in his Lamborghini, as Wilson doesn't get the exit there out of turn 10.
Be interesting to see how much he closes up on the brakes, whether he goes for a move or whether he stays and gets the slipstream down to T2. He's going to go for the slipstream down to T2 now. He has got the run. The BMW's gone really wide there, and that's Luke Wilson. I think that P7 position is going to be solidified into this next corner. I don't think the BMW is going to fight that too hard.
The Lexus will likely have the legs on the BMW in this situation, though. You don't want to take the braking duels in a Lexus. It can be a little bit tricky getting stopped there, but Wilson gets the move done and are now in clear air. 3.3 seconds for up to the next drive, which will be Finnerma in P6, who we see here in a little bit of a battle with Oscar Arctis and Glenn Finnerma. The pink Mercedes versus the black Aston.
I never thought I'd say this, but a pink Mercedes actually looks quite nice.
Yeah, well, you could actually run the in-game. There's a BWT livery on one of the Mercedes that could be run. It is a lovely livery. The pink one, actually, the pink goes well in many cars. We see that with Wild Things Racing after they swapped from their usual dark blue, blackish colors to their pink liveries, which have made their cars pop a lot more on the streams. Although there are quite a few pink cars this season in Tier 2 for unknown reasons. Maybe it's a pink appreciation season. We don't know. We don't know what kind of shenanigans goes on with the drivers, of course. But Finnerma got the move done on Oscar Arctis, who have been losing a few positions. Oscar Arctis in this race, but not that many. He was a bit out of position in the first race. He didn't qualify too well and didn't manage to progress that much, but normally a driver with a decent pace around most tracks, Oscar Arctis, so he will be looking to do stuff. And Denise Pope have gone around. I wonder if that was Kieran Morphle involved in some sort of arty-barty touching, though there was 1.5 seconds between them. when they crossed the start-finish line, so highly unlikely that Kieran had anything to do with that, but Pope was spun around there for a good few seconds and have dropped quite a few positions as she had to let an entire train of cars go through. Unfortunate for the Wild Things Racing captain, Denise Pope. Dropped to 28th at this point of the race. She's sort of the type of driver, she either have these very good races where, well, we basically just don't see a very discreet races where she gets up there and from time to time she gets into some good battles, but it's either those kinds of races or these kinds of races where she's just involved in basically everything and will from time to time get a bit unlucky with what happens on track to her. Not that often down to fault of her own, but usually just instances that she's being caught up in. It is what it is, and that's part of racing, of course. Some say it's a bit luck-based, but honestly, you can just be quick enough to get away from the drivers who are likely to get involved in that kind of stuff. So it is what it is. Chris Haas on the back end of Todd Curtis and Kieran Morfill. Haas doing a double comeback in this race after, of course, he have to come back from the basically the back of the grid with the reverse grid. Then after the incident, he have to make yet another comeback. Haas very late on the brakes there, but gets the move done on Curtis. Good decisive move there from Chris Haas.
Be really interesting to see what happens now going into this braking zone, but it looks like Curtis just got on the grass a little bit, which might have broke the slipstream slightly. I thought he might be challenging him back into the next corner, but looks like he's quite comfortable sitting behind him now as we go into the I don't know what the name of the corner is, but it's like a hairpin right. But yeah, it looks like the Audi's gonna start to pull away a little bit now. I think Chris is gonna start chasing down the next car in line, which is Morfill, I believe.
Yeah, Kieran Morfill in the 990 Snag & Sons car. One of the drivers with a lot of fan support out there, since most of the Snag & Sons racing team have tuned in to see him race. Or at least I know that most of the Snag & Sons racing team are crossing their fingers that Kieran will do something crazy in this race and cause incidents so they can have a good laugh about it. Kieran gets overtaken there by Chris Haas. Not that surprising that Haas got through, but not clear enough that Haas feels like pulling back in or getting close to the apex of the corner. No! Whoa!
That was spicy, wasn't it? That last corner is pretty tough. If you've got a car on your inside, even if you've got a nose in front, it's really hard to defend from it. So I think if you're an attacking car and you can get half a car length in front into that final corner, you've probably got the overtake done just because of how difficult that corner is.
My favorite YouTube name Psycho asks what happened to the Pope. The Pope was involved in some kind of incident. I think it was murder by Kieran Morfill, or she spotted on her own. One of the two. Of course, we're giving Kieran a bit of a rough time this evening, but that's how it is being a household name on the SSRI channel. Then you will be shafted by the commentators. The 7 car goes off for spin. That's actually Chris Hill's old racing number. That's Garcia racing with that at the minute. But I actually don't think that Morfill was involved with Pope. We haven't seen anything of it, but it is what it is. What? She has been in the pits as well, I'm being informed. Denise Pope. Yes, please do so.
It's going to be really interesting to see if this number 111 Aston can get the slipstream on the Lexus. But we know the Lexus is an absolute rocket ship. But so can the Aston. The Aston can also be a rocket ship. But I think Max is going to maintain this position into the next corner. But it looks like they're at threat from Haas from behind. It looks like he's going for a move up the inside, in which he is. There's no contact. Now it's going to be a drag race down to the next corner. It's Aston versus Audi. Somebody wants to slit in just behind the Lexus, and there's the Audi up into P20. Great
yes,
move.
And Chris, the Pope instant is lap 14, turn 1, but I do think that she spun it on her own after what I can see around. on all the information that I have, at least. So not that. So this time, Kieran Morfield is without blame. Although we have spent about 10 minutes putting all the blame on him, but no blame on Kieran Morfield, that one at least. Let's just make that clear, as I think we do get a replay of what happened here. Denise Pope in the picture, no Morfield inside. Up the hill into turn 1 she goes. Correct line on the entry, hits the inside curb there, the dead stone, and then just spins it around, and the policeman on the outside is obviously not helping, trying to keep control of the cars. Once you get into that sort of half spin, Chris Haas now on Spooner for 19th position in the race.
Denise is back into the pits and back out of the pits by the looks of it, so it looks like she might have been involved in another incident. As I'm not sure if that's a back marker that's just let people pass, or that's somebody giving up a position. It looks like it could be a back marker, and as we see Chris Haas going past, chasing Spooner in.
I actually think that's Waymans that we see in the background in the Aston Martin, at least. Oh no, the Mercedes in the background is definitely a back marker. Yes, Denise have now officially retired from the race. Unfortunate for her, not the greatest evening of racing, at least the greatest race of racing for Denise Pope. The 19 cars crossing a yellow flag on the start-finish straight, though it's in the pits. It looks like that's Dimitri Schenk, retiree from the race as well. It looks like. But Haas still haven't cleared Spooner at this point of the race. Spooner seems to be causing a bit of grief here for Chris Haas, as he is in a Lexus, and that Lexus is super quick in a straight line, so as long as Spooner can get the exits, and if Haas stays too close to Spooner on the entry of the corners, then if Spooner makes a slight mistake, then Haas will not be able to take advantage of it if he stays too close.
This could be the move, though, into not turn 1 but into turn 2. Oh, he's going for it into turn 1.
This is turn 1, yeah, but he sells him a dummy to get the better launch out of the corner, and Spooner gets too early on the front. Looks like lose it a little bit there, and then Haas will have the opportunity, but getting a run on Lexus is a little bit difficult. As we can see, the Lexus is just pulling away ever so slightly.
Yeah, I think Chris Haas is going to need to do something magical on the brakes here. He's going to go around the outside into this corner. That's very brave. He's going to go over the little sausage curb, and now it is going to be a drag race down into the hairpin right. And I think the Lexus with the inside line here has got the has naturally got the advantage, but Chris Haas is not going to be scared.
I think the Lexus will have to brake earlier to make this corner. That Audi is a very agile car to drive, also a fun car to drive. Complete different of the Lexus, more downforce space, but equally loose when driving the cars.
And I think this is going to be Chris up the inside now, but no, it's not. Max Spoon is going to stick it around the outside. He's going to hang on, but Chris gets the move done into P19.
Yeah, good driving there from both the drivers, showing how overtakes can be done. And very respectful driving there from Max Spooner there, giving a lot of room to Haas at all points in that duel, and just how we like to see driving being handled. As Luke Wilson is now up into P5 in the race, as he have just overtaken the McLaren of Gallant, the rookie leader. Doing a good job, who could have the second win in 2 weeks for him in the rookie category, as he also won in Spa 2 weeks ago.
He's doing a fantastic job. He's not just P1 in rookies, he's P6 overall, which is a fantastic effort.
Yeah, drive-through for Waymans, his biggest rival for the rookie championship, by the way. Looked like him, but yeah, unfortunate for Waymans, that will be for track cuts with 15 minutes to go in a 45-minute race after just half an hour of racing. Further down the field, Van Drijl have now caught up to Oscar Arxis, and pulling a little bit of a train does Oscar Arxis at the minute. Interesting to see the position change here, and Michael de Gore as well behind. We haven't spoken much of de Gore in this evening of racing at all, and he usually is one of the drivers involved in a lot of good racing. But Jesse Van Drijl on the outside of Oscar Arxis into turn 9 we go. He have cleared him, and Arxis just falls in behind, trying to get the optimum line through, as Arxis is under pressure on the inside. Goes Draper through turn 10. Not the best place to try for a move. as they both lose out time there, and Draper immediately under pressure from Craig Hill into turn 1. Craig Hill on the inside in the green and white BMW. He does try the move, doesn't get it done. As Michael DeGauray can get earlier on the throttle there. Good driving there from well, what happened to what happened to Hill? Oh, Arctis. Oh no, Van Drijl. What happened to Van Drijl? Was he already passed? Oh yeah, he passed him in like 2 corners ago. Yes, now I'm just mumbling once again. Yeah, Chris is asking stupid questions once again. Remember to hit the like, subscribe, and hit that notification button as well. And especially if you like blue race cars, hit the like button. If you like other colors of cars, hit the subscribe button as well. If you really love a very particular color, then make a comment about the color and hit the notification button, just to be very clear of what you have to do. Elsewise, Mr. Potter will come and curse you in your sleep, throw some spells on you. And remember,
I wonder if I'll ever break this nickname. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I will anymore. But
it's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
It's like that's Redillion actually. That's how I'm going to be when I'm correcting you on spells.
Oh yes, although I would never call it that. DeGauray gets the move down Oscar Arctis, and Craig Hill sneaks through as well in turn 1. Will it be a triple as a McLaren? That would be Blitzmer trying to get the move done. Also in the 6 nice numbered machine, but not enough power in the McLaren there to get by Oscar Arctis as he gets under pressure on the outside. Goes Draper, not through, but does try it at least. Draper there, they are very close into turn 4. It will be this time around. Draper does demand space where they are currently. He will try the outside once again, or bank on a Blitzman, making a mistake there. Ooh, that was Swearing in the background, launching it up. No, sorry, that was Draper in the back. No, was Swearing in the background launching it up? Or could it even have been a round of wins? Doesn't really matter too much, as that wasn't the battle that we were looking at mainly. It was trying. It must have been wins. I would almost assume, as he was close to Swearing. Sim Racing Holland. Yeah, that is definitely not wins. Then it's yeah, that must have been a back marker quite far down, off and quite far, but I don't expect him to lap them. There's a car that has been DSQ'd. I can see there's a black marking on in the pit lane. I think that would be Dimitri Schenk, who picked up the honors of that. Ooh, Van Dosberg there, having had the spin out of turn 4.
He's not got it going again either yet. Oh, now he has, but there's traffic on the route, which this could get very spicy for the 82 car that's about to pass him, but no dramas.
Oh, horrible race 2 from Van Dosberg. Also not the best race 1, of course, as he started race 2 on pole position. Have seen a little bit of action as we are following Cohen Geens, who are putting the pressure on Frank Hupp. Frank having dropped a little bit since last season after swapping from the Lamborghini to the BMW. Now Cohen Geens is very tight and close to him. Interesting to see how these two will duke it out for the remaining of this race at 10 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Still everything to play for here in the midfield. I must say I feel like this race has been quite a bit cleaner than last week in Tier 1. Although it's hard to say, I think more of the mistakes or crashes we've seen here have been solo incidents. As I said, we just went away from Cohen Geens and he spins it immediately after. Of course he does. Chris Haas have made the move on Martinelli, who is 19th, so Chris Haas is up into 18th position at the minute. Ritterbusch will be next for Haas and his attempts to get back to the top end of the field.
We're going to start to see the leader catch up. Some people are going to be under blue flags from the leader shortly. I wonder if he's going to catch the 7-11 car before the end of this race with 9 minutes to go. As we can see a move happening here. and it's going to be, well, that's a little bit wide for Van Driel as we now see
Yeah, but Van
him pull away.
Driel was behind Van der Linden when they crossed the timing split of Sector 1, so it technically is a move for Jesse there, who is now ahead of Ian van der Linden in the beautiful Golf livery, or Golf style livery on the Ferrari. But yeah, Van Driel moving nicely through the pack in this race. He have shown great racecraft here in race 2, getting a lot of good moves done. Timon will be next for him, and speaking of drivers who are next for each other, Wilson only 3 seconds behind Fedema with 8 minutes to go. I do think the podium is getting a little bit out of reach at the minute. He will have to drive really fast to catch up to Kleefeld in third. I do believe that's a double Fortune Honda Racing podium if Hummel and Kleefeld they finish second and third. That would be quite interesting and a good result for the team as well. Draper.
Oh, that was close, wasn't it, into the braking zone?
Yeah, looked like Draper had to turn out of that one, avoiding Oscar Artis, who have been dropping like a fly for the last couple of minutes. He was up there for a long time in good positions up the top of the field, and here in race 2. Move there in the background. That's Bart Swearing getting the move done on the 6 nice numbered car. That's Blitzmer behind, which means that Wouter Wins will be the 213 in the Sim Racing Holland livery car right behind him as well. As Haas have also gotten, yes, as Haas have also, no, maybe it's not. It's France. It's France. He's been left Wins behind Franz van der Linden, but nevertheless, Haas have gotten through Ritterbusch in the background as well, and are getting, well, I was about to say getting closer to Wouter Wins, but I was looking on the wrong car there. But he is still within possible reach of catching up to Wins in this entire group of cars, if he manages to get that throttle planted and not touching the brake as much as he would probably want to around this track. The trick at this point for Chris Haas is basically you don't move your right foot away from that throttle. It have to be planted for the rest of the race. You can only lift when you see the checkered flag or guard himself. That would be the trick. As Draper tries the inside there on that was very getting past Draper, and Draper losing another one there to. That's a Blitzmer in the 6 nice numbered car.
That's a little bit deep there from the Ferrari as well. That might open him up to an overtake. As you can see, they're going to go side by side again, and the inside line's a tricky one into this corner. If you get it wrong, you get too much curve, it can spin you out. The outside might give you a better run into the corner after, but no, that's nicely done. In fact, he's opened himself up to the car behind potentially.
Yeah, but Swearing had a little bit of an oversteer there on the exit of the corner, so he doesn't take full advantage of getting the good exit, or much better exit than Blitzmer behind. So this could potentially go down to the wire in this group of cars, as they seem to be quite close. As Oscar Artis actually have gotten a little bit of a gap to these guys. As we can see in the background now, Chris Haas have caught up to the back of the train, just past the Van der Linden there, and are within rough slipstream range of Wouter Wins at this point when they go on to the start-finish straight. With 5 minutes to go, these drivers crosses the line once again to start yet another lap in the race. Yep, 26 I believe, and this is Digore behind Ian van der Linden. Which way will Digore go? Tries right but goes left at the end. Van der Linden trying to defend it. Digore on the outside of Van der Linden. Van der Linden just leaves enough room there. Digore very wide, but will he have it done? It looks like he's just ahead of Van der Linden coming down towards turn 4. And he surely is ahead of him now. Will Van der Linden launch it up the inside? Don't think so. I think he will concede the position and just drive it home. Good,
The
good,
Aston
strong.
Martin's a rocket ship in a straight line. I don't think the Ferrari stood much of a chance there, apart from maybe onto the brakes into that zone. But the Aston had pulled too much of a gap there to for Van der Linden to challenge him.
Yeah, he would have needed a much better run out of that. Jesse Van Drijl have caught up to the back of De Monk, and Galland ahead of him as well, so he could potentially go up to claim 6th in this race if he gets these 2 overtakes done. But they will not be easy with 4 minutes to go. All the drivers knows that it is now the time where you want to defend your position, even against drivers that are much quicker than you, as you don't have long that you will have to hold them back for. Van Drijl gets very close to under braking and keeps the momentum and gap to the car head out of the corner. Very good driving there from Van Drijl, right up behind De Monk. As Finema is also getting close to the top 3 up in the front, and Wilson right behind him, which means that Wilson potentially could go from 40th to 3rd in this race. As we're into the battle here, Wilson in the Lexus, Finema in the Aston, and Kleefeld in the Lambo. When they cross the start-finish line, they will have basically 2 more laps of racing, I believe. As a race leader, Phil Baracci have pulled out a massive gap in this one.
Yeah, Luke's going to be trying to see if he can make anything happen in the last few laps, but he's also going to be conscious that if something was to happen and he was to get a drive-through for track limits, or he was to be involved in an incident, then the P1 in the last race is going to be negated by wherever he might finish. So he's going to want to be sensible.
But look at this. I think Wilson is playing this smart. When the other guys are battling, if he just keeps a few car lengths to them, then they will probably interfere each other enough out of a corner that Wilson could maybe get a double overtake done into to a singular corner, or just snatch a free position as someone will get a bad exit. At some point, here goes the overtake move there from Finema on the outside of Kleefeld. That looked very wide there onto the exit, but move is done at this point. Kleefeld trying once again to go the outside. Galland gets the drive-through penalty in P6, the thing that we didn't want to happen for anyone. And now Kleefeld loses the position to Wilson as well. This could be it. Slight contact there. Wilson still on the throttle. Same for Kleefeld. Wilson, will he try the move as well? The slightly whoa, big send there from Kleefeld on Finema. Finema going slightly defensive into the corner. And Wilson retakes, what would that be, 4th in the race, as Kleefeld have dropped behind both of the cars ahead at this point. Pope in the chat, unfortunately quite little rage quit, I'm afraid. Unfortunately for you, I got slowly more murdered before deciding I would have to be giving more fun and blah blah blah. Yes, it's all good, Denise, and you have tuned in right for one of the most exciting finishes of SSRI Racing of all time, as Luke Wilson is trying to complete a very satisfying race for him. Started 40th on the grid, moved up into 4th position at this point, but he's under pressure from Kleefeld now coming on to the final lap. So he might be looking to defend more than actually attack, but if he could get the podium in this one, it would be an amazing result. And definitely want to write down for the history books for Mr. Luke Wilson.
And I think there's going to be one more lap after this, just looking at where
this will be the final lap of the race. I do believe so, yes. Phil Baracci untouched in the finish. Once he got this first position, he have not looked back at all. Great solid drive from Phil Baracci, just as Luke Wilson did in race 1. Phil Baracci have controlled this one from the front. No need to push it too hard, just nice and safe driving from Phil Baracci through this race. Good driving from him. Yeah, all the way through, as he will.
Yellows in the final corner.
Yeah, that's the 90 car. He has 13 seconds to cross the start-finish line. He will take another lap if he doesn't choose to go on the brakes. He will take another lap. This means that Luke Wilson does have an actually good chance of overtaking Finema for P3, as they will also get another lap of racing. Still quite the gap between Wilson and Finema, but we have seen Wilson catch up a lot during this race and have amazing pace in the Lexus. 1 lap to go. Finema to take home take home the podium. It did look for the longest of times that it would be Hummel and Kleefeld rounding out the podium for a double Fortune Hunter Racing podium, but not this time. It looks like that Wilson might have just decided to just concede 4th position. Don't push it still. 0.7 seconds to Finema over the start-finish line. It would be quite a bit of an ask to ask Wilson to catch up to Finema and get the move done. Kleefeld coming close there through turn 3, but too close he goes and goes wide.
And it's worth noting that Luke is actually P3 in class as well, so he's still got a podium in class, which is probably what he's thinking about at the moment. He's nearly a second back now. I think you're right. I don't think he's going to be trying to fight for that podium. It doesn't make sense at this stage of the race.
Most definitely, when the car ahead of him is in a different class, as you just mentioned. Of course, there's an overall championship, but most of the drivers are focused on the championship that they have been assigned. As Phil Barazzi comes across the line to claim his first SSRI GT3 Tier 2 win. Great drive there, Phil Barazzi also claims fastest lap in the race. Hummel will be finishing second for Fortune Hunter Racing. Good, solid drive from him. All throughout this second race, P2 secured for him, 17 seconds back, but no need for him to push it either. A further 10-12 seconds-ish behind. Finema comes across the line, 10 seconds behind. Wilson 4th, Kleefeld 5th. Monk will take 5th and round out the top 5, it looks like. And then Van Dryle, who have done a stunning job in getting the car up into 7th position in this one as well. I'm not going to name all the drivers as they go across the line, but what a race we have had in this race too. It does seem like the format worked a lot better for the Tier 2 guys than Tier 1 guys with this reverse grid, at least for the first round, but we'll have to wait until Indianapolis for the next time we'll see this format, when it will be the season finale as well, and it will be a sprint racing format as well. I cannot wait for that one, as it will be super interesting to see how the cars will perform around there. But all in all, good racing tonight, Mr. Potter.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was kind of what we expected, wasn't it? Red Bull Ring, sorry, always brings some tight racing and quite a lot of action. I think it's if you look at racing as a spectator sport, I think that's definitely what it's been today. A lot of happiness from some of the drivers, and certainly a lot of drivers that will be going away with a lot of frustration and thinking about the remainder of the season and what they need to do to see if they can get themselves back up in the points, and those that are in the points, just make sure that they can stay there.
Yeah, and thinking of these two races, if we take obviously Luke Wilson out of the picture, who would you say would have been the driver of the race, of the evening rather?
Oh, that's a tough question, isn't it? I think you've got to give it to, and I'm gonna not attempt to say his name because I'll butcher it, and I don't want to do that. But the guy who won the second race, I think
Phil Barazzi.
Yeah, I'm not going to try and say that. But he did a fantastic job, I think, from start to finish. Just maintaining the gap. I mean, he could have quite easily have backed off the pace a little bit, but then he'd have put himself at risk from other drivers. So I think just to maintain that gap, maintain the pace, manage the tyres, and just make sure he takes the race win. And it's tough once you're starting in first, you're automatically under pressure, and you're being chased down, and you need to create a gap. And once you've got that gap, you can settle into a rhythm. And I think he did a fantastic job of creating that gap, settling into a rhythm, and then maintaining it. And yeah, congratulations on the win in the second race.
Yeah, good job from him. We will not be hanging around that long this evening to wait for interviews, because it is a little bit later than usual when we do this. But we'll just give it just a few more minutes, because you never know if someone decides to pop in later. There have been 2 races, of course, and 3 classes in each, which means 6 times 3 podium contenders, 6, 12, 18 podiums that we could potentially go through. Though some of them are duplicates, as Luke Wilson, for example. It might be the only duplicate, maybe in the rookie class. There will be some as well.
Yeah, I will actually say that Gallant did a fantastic job in rookies. He showed that he's got the pace to fight with some of the guys that aren't in rookies, and maybe next season he'll find himself in silver.
Or
Who knows?
amateur.
I think or amateur. Yeah, he's done a fantastic job.
We'll wait and see. But speaking of Gallen, not the smartest first race, not taking the pit stop, of course, and then a bit unfortunate in race 2 with the late drive-through penalty. So not a race that he will be super happy with small personal mistakes, but all in all, he did a stunning job as well, as you said in this evening, showcasing his raw pace and actual talent when he keeps the car on track. And I think that's the main issue for most of the rookie drivers, that we they do have a good pace for most of the time, but they more often than not find themselves in maybe some slightly oversteering moments, sort of say.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think a lot of this comes down to experience, right? I think if it's a track you've never driven before and you're challenging yourself by putting yourself in a car that you're not used to, or you don't drive it very often, I think that really, you have bad days, but ultimately it's those bad days that probably make you a better driver because you learn from it. I think if you won everything all the time, you'd probably be quite bored because you're just not really challenging yourself. Whereas I think actually if you're trying something new, you're trying to learn new things, you're trying to get a feel for the car, actually in the long term, that's probably a win, and actually will probably help you become a better driver. I say this like I'm a professional driver. I'm absolutely not. So there's a lot I need to learn as well, and I do understand the frustrations when a race goes wrong as well.
Yeah, most definitely. But some final words before we tune out in this course. Remember to tune in this Saturday, basically after noon, and then for 24 hours straight there will be some sort of racing going on here on the Simsport Racing International YouTube channel. When we go racing for the 24 hours of the Nürburgring Nordsch Live, I have been your commentator tonight, Miss. No, wait, we actually got an interview now. God damn it! Hello, Frank. We were just about to round out the stream.
No, I saw nobody was joining, and I was like, oh no, this cannot happen. I want to be interviewed now.
Yes, quick words on your evening of racing.
I thought it was so much fun. I really enjoyed this. I think that for the first race, actually, I was kind of surprised in the sort of first stint, because we had the unexpected pit that we needed to do, and then I had like 0.142 seconds of damage in the first few laps, and I was like, how did that happen? Why wasn't I hit more? And then it was actually quite okay. After that, Michael de Gore, I think he apparently hit me. I can't even really remember that I was that something happened. I had 4 seconds of damage after that, and the second stint, I just got hit, and it was sort of like a pinball at some moments, and I had like 26 seconds of damage and a crooked steering wheel for the last half hour, but still was actually doing reasonably okay, and people were flying off all the time. So yeah, amazing fun. It was really nice.
Yeah, it sounds like you enjoyed the reverse grid format quite a lot this evening. Also gives drivers a chance for in the second race to maybe, if you didn't perform well in the first race, then you'll start much better in the second one, and can claim positions out of that.
Yeah, what happened, because I think I finished the first race, I finished 15th on track, but I started like 11th from the back. So did a few people not pit or something, or?
Yes, there were 2 drivers who didn't take the pit stops in race 1, unfortunately. One of them being Dimitri Schenk, the other one David Gallant.
Okay. Yeah, Dimitri I knew, because we were on chat all the time. So he was telling me, well, it says sort of green valid, so let's just try and see how that goes.
That could have been the same for Gallant. Then he might have thought that he was valid, but
yeah, because it was in green, there was nothing that you needed to do. It just said pit stop, but no tire change, nothing. So it was really weird that it was active. So
yeah, that's because there was a mandatory pit stop set for. Well, someone forgot to take it off, but there was a mandatory pit stop set, but no pit stop rules for the pit stop, and that's why they would just, as long as whenever that box pops up down there, then it's because you have a mandatory stop.
Yeah.
in the race.
So, yeah.
But jumping on from Mr. Frank Hop to race winner of race 2, Mr. Phil Baratti. Welcome back to the to the podium.
Yeah.
Yet another good evening of race for you. It was very good on Spa, of course, and then now race winner of race 2 here on the Österreich ring or Red Bull ring.
Yeah. After the first race, I was taken out for no reason, intentionally. I was frustrated, obviously, and then I push all the race, and I want to win. In fact, the pace was very, very nice. My pace, and it was a bit boring after the after 3 laps.
Well, is it ever boring when you just get to enjoy driving in first position?
Yeah.
No, but we did see the action going on in race 1 with you as well, and it was a little bit of a heartbreak as it was. It did have the potential to be yet another spicy race for you with good action in race 1, but unfortunate things happened and you started quite far up the grid for race 2. Was it difficult getting through that small amount of traffic that you had ahead of you in race 2 to take the win?
Yeah. Obviously, I hope the race 1. I want to race 1 the next time be better, but these things happen, and I'm sorry for the guy, and I write sorry for my bad English.
Oh, don't apologize for that. We have heard much worse over the years.
No, I write a message. I think thinking it was the guy taking me out, but it wasn't. I confused the numbers, 12 instead of 21. I don't remember. But I don't think that these things never happen. They never happen in any championship, because they bumped me twice and brake checked me. Fortunately, there is race show and I start 8th, so it was not difficult to take P1 and escape.
Remember to final report on that, but are you looking forward to the next round, which would be Imola, home race for you, almost, I should say? Do you reckon that you can go up and give it another shot for another top position in that one?
Yeah. And for the next race, another victory would be great. And I think it's possible. Wilson obviously is very, very fast. In qualifying, 5/10 is a big gap. And in fact, I push in the first lap because I think Wilson he arrived and I don't think it was. I see. Sorry.
It's fine.
I think Wilson we closed the gap with me, and in the last lap you have a battle or something, but I won. This is the important. We know a big gap, 20 seconds. Yeah. 20 seconds.
I believe fastest lap of the race as well.
Yes, fastest lap. That is easy when you have a clear track. I think Wilson will have the fastest lap if you start ahead.
I actually think that it was Chris Haas who held the fastest lap until you took it away from him, who also was in the traffic throughout the race.
Interesting.
Yeah,
he spun.
Yes, he in both races actually. In race 2, he was doing quite a good job getting back up to the front, and then we just there was a small free wide situation into turn 1, and he unfortunately got spun around in that one and had to redo all his hard work overtaking the back marker drivers. But it is what it is, you know. But anyways, thank you for joining us. We were actually about to round off the the commentary before people joined in for interviews. But anyways, I have been your commentator, Oliver Anderson, Mr. One of Volleyball tonight, and joining me in the commentary booth for the first time this season, and for the first time in a long time, I had company in here, Mr. Andy Potter King, and of course behind the cameras, as always, Grandpa Chris Hill. Only one thing left to say, and that is see you all Saturday for the 24 hours of the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Good evening and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, good day if you're American. Or if you watch it other...